Hey guys, welcome to Thrive Bites, the official podcast of Dr. Colin Zhu, aka the Chef Doc. On every episode, I talk with health and wellness experts from all over the world, such as doctors, chefs, dietitians, coaches, and many more. And I sit down with them and have casual conversations about plant-based lifestyle, how to elevate our emotional resilience, and what it really means to thrive. And I bring all of this to you. So let's get to this week's episode. Okay, guys. Well, welcome to another episode of Thrive Bites. I'm your host, Colin Zhu, and thank you for listening on. Today, I have a wonderful, wonderful guest with us today. This is Gauri Janutkar. Say hi to everyone, Gauri.
Hi, everyone.
I'm so excited for her to be on today's show. She has a amazing resume and background and unique skill set. For those of you who do not know who she is a registered and licensed dietitian, Ayurvedic practitioner, certified diabetic educator, licensed massage therapist, and speaker and author. I'm very excited to kind of talk about, what she does. And where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from Dallas, Texas.
Oh, okay. I have a lot of guests calling from Texas, so it's great. So to start off, I love hearing about people's stories and how they go from A to B and what brings them to this very moment. The centerpiece of people's stories is the heart of this podcast, and not just talking about health and wellness. So can you share with the audience your story of how you came across doing what you're doing, how you got into, Ayurveda, how you got into your various wellness practices and, pretty much what makes you, you.
Sure, Colin. And, my journey with wellness and Ayurveda started with when growing up in India in Mumbai. I essentially grew up with Ayurveda. So all the, the Ayurvedic wisdom, a lot of time came in from, my grandmom, my mother, talking about Ayurveda, Ayurvedic spices and things and how we can include them in our daily food. But one particular instant or one particular, I can relate to actually sparked my desire to learn more about Ayurveda is I remember that I was helping my mom in the kitchen, prepping some vegetables and things. And I was probably not very careful with a knife. So, I had a small cut. And, after the cut, my mom said, why don't you go and wash your hands and just take a pinch of turmeric and just dab it on the cut and, it should be fine. And I was wondering, how would turmeric actually help to heal that cut? But I trusted my mom's instinct and wisdom and washed my hands and grabbed a pinch of turmeric and dabbed it on the cut. And, in a couple of days, I was just amazed to find that, the cut had completely healed. And that's when I started wondering more about what is in it, in turmeric and what is all about this Ayurveda that what my grandmom used to keep talking about. And that got me more intrigued into learning more onto Ayurveda. I actually got formally trained into Ayurvedic medicine. I was trained as a physician of Ayurvedic medicine in India before coming to the United States. And that began my journey with Ayurveda, the Ayurvedic nutrition, a lot of the Ayurvedic therapy and things. So got trained with that. And that's how basically my desire to learn more about Ayurveda and introduce Ayurveda into my life and for a lot of my clients began.
For your mother and grandmother, that's a very interesting story, by the way. Were they practitioners themselves, or was it because, coming from an Indian background, that's kind of the pervasive part of the culture, so to speak?
Yes. So they were not practitioners, but they, as I said, it is part of the culture. So Ayurveda is part of a culture. Growing up, we cook with the Ayurvedic spices and things. So it's essentially a part of a culture itself.
What's very interesting is because Ayurveda has been practiced for thousands of years. And I think it's, my mother, she practices Chinese medicine, and I can't think of anything beyond Chinese medicine that is just as old and just as currently practiced. And it's obviously made up of its own system. It has different components, which could be an entirely separate episode because there's so much about it. But how give us a little bit of background in terms of like a 101, because I know that for Chinese medicine, there's different ways of diagnosing versus, Western medicine. Western medicine is very dependent on the history taking, what people, verbalize in terms of their symptoms. Whereas contrast to that, Chinese medicine is very, you don't need the patient or person does not need to actually volunteer what's going on with them. They just look at their face, look at their tongue, look at their pulse, and they're able to kind of diagnose which organ systems are actually out of balance. So give the audience members a little bit of snippet of, how does Ayurvedic medicine work?
So with Ayurveda, it's very similar in the context that Ayurveda looks at the whole person aspect. What we look at with Ayurveda is the personalized approach to a person's diet, lifestyle based on a person's body type, or it is called as a dosha or the prakriti. And what Ayurveda believes is that every person is born with a prakriti or a dosha type based on the three basic doshas, which is vata, pitta, and kapha. So that means everything, a person's diet, lifestyle, becomes more personalized based on that person's body type. So in that pretext, when you think about Ayurveda, we look at the person's body type, we look at the person's digestive system, or what I call the gut health. One of the concepts in Ayurveda, it's called Agni, which is a digestive fire. So again, we look at in depth, how is this person's gut health? How is his digestive power? And in Ayurveda, we believe that everything is through the gut. A person's health, wellness, immunity is through the gut. So essentially, when you think about gut health, it's not really a new concept. This is something that Ayurveda has been talking about for thousands of years.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, because we're living through a global pandemic right now, it's interesting because people highlight immunity and people highlight gut health. And like you said, it's not new concepts. These are things that have been focused and practiced, for just thousands of years through other types of modalities. For your practice, you specifically target nutrition, and you said that everything is through, gut health. What is it about nutrition in terms of Western civilization, Western societies, that Ayurvedic nutrition or the aspect of nutrition lends itself well on?
Sure. So while the modern healthcare, the modern nutrition is more about the calories and proteins and, the fat content and things. So this is, the nutrients essentially. The Ayurveda talks more about creating a balance. So before, modern medicine or modern healthcare discovered, the different vitamins and minerals, Ayurveda talked about creating balance in our meals by including foods through the 6 different tastes. And the 6 different tastes are madhur, which is sweet, amla, which is sour, lavan, which is salty, katu, which is pungent, tikta, which is bitter, and kashaya, which is astringent. So Ayurveda said on a daily basis, you want to have a meal which had foods with all these different tastes to create a balance with our doshas. And also Ayurveda talks about the other aspect is seasonal foods. As season changes, Ayurveda says that the balance in our doshas change. That means our foods and lifestyle need to change according to the season. So if you think about a perfect example for that is in summer. In summer, everything becomes hot. And you can also see that, Mother Nature prepares us. We see a lot of foods with a lot of the water content. So, to help us quench the thirst, help us with the hydration. So in summer, we want more of the cooling foods, while in winter, we want more of the food that create more of that internal warmth. And
Hmm.
a lot of times in winter, what we see is nuts is something we see more prevalent in winter. So again, seasonal foods, eating food according to season is also one of the concepts of Ayurveda as well.
Hmm. Hmm. I think that's very important to emphasize because for American diet or American society, our food is I would argue, very unbalanced. We tend to favor, certain meat groups. We tend to, really emphasize, carbohydrates, starches, for many different reasons in terms of taste, in terms of costs. Because people, like the flavor, we've created food chemicals to be able to hit certain parts of our brain to want us to increase our eating and increase eating the same groups. And also in our marketplaces, it's different than if you were living in a more rural area, or if you're living in different parts of the world where you don't have Whole Foods or you don't have a supermarket that actually has all the foods of all the seasons all year round. So in a way, we've kind of been out of balance in terms of, how we look at seasons, and how we look at how we source different ingredients. So I think that's very important what you mentioned in terms of sticking to the seasons.
Yes, absolutely. And, a lot of times, this is very evident from even how we feel, our energy levels, even to, think about, having more food that are more seasonal. For example, watermelon is, when you think about even with modern nutrition, when you think about potency wise, the watermelon is going to be available in summer is going to be better compared to the watermelon available in the winter.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. So in terms of the actual medicine part of it, or in terms of cooking, what was your relationship with either one growing up? Did you battle a personal health journey, or did you get inspired from, someone else's health journey, or was the turmeric on your finger the perfect catalyst to kind of get you going to your current path?
It was a combination. Turmeric definitely, I would say, propelled me to learn more about Ayurveda and get formally trained into Ayurveda. But one of the things that I would think about my personal health journey is, coming to the gut health part, is that I remember growing up with a slightly weaker digestive health, and
Mm.
things that to me, better to my gut health was again including a lot of those, Ayurvedic spices in our meals. And I remember that in certain seasons, mom would change the way we would eat different foods. We would include different vegetables according and available in the seasons. I also remember growing up that every day the food was cooked fresh. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything was cooked fresh. We would go to the
Hmm.
market every single day to get the vegetables that were available in abundance for the season. So essentially, your mom actually helped me to understand that principles of Ayurveda and how to cook more in line with the Ayurvedic principles as well.
Hey guys, we're going to be taking a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Thrive Bites. Let's get back to the interview. Comparatively to how we live as Americans, it's not, I guess we don't create or prioritize, those opportunities to cook every single meal. A lot of people have full-time jobs. A lot of people have different types of obligations where they don't literally cook every single meal. So that's why fast food over time has become very popular. That's why packaged foods, convenience foods have become, very, very popular over time. And that's what contributes to our poor gut health and subsequently our overall well-being. What would you say, contributes from an Ayurvedic perspective, the poor gut health that you see in your clients? Is it something that's a very common theme that you see in your clients, that their gut health is just, poor, and what are some things that they practice in their lifestyle that leads to that from your perspective?
Sure, sure. I mean, in my clients, the first thing I see a lot is, a relatively weaker gut health. And that's where I came from. And that's why it helps me relate to my clients better. Definitely, a lot of times I see a lot of my clients either eating foods that are out of season. Second thing is either eating too much or too little of certain foods, not enough time gap between meals. And one of the important aspects with Ayurveda is the concept of Agni, which is digestive fire. That means we are, according to our digestive fire, and our health is in line with our digestive fire. So one other thing that Ayurveda really talks about is we want to understand our hunger. We want to understand our digestion. That means we want to make sure that we really preserve our digestive power really well. That means, again, making sure that we are eating more warm foods. We're eating not too many raw foods. That's one of the things I see a lot. People having too many raw foods early in the morning. Or they may have a lot of smoothies and things in the morning. A lot of times they may end up just having salads. That means, again, it may not be the best idea for a more balanced meal. So again, having more balanced meal is what Ayurveda really talks about, is creating that balance.
So would you say, I guess it depends on people's different constitution, but, would you say in general that raw foods are, I guess, contributory to people's, a poor health, or is it because it just throws people off balance in terms of their gut health?
It may throw people out of balance, the proportion of it, the amount of it. So for example, just an example of that is, let's say for the first thing in the morning, a lot of times what Ayurveda talks about is having a warm meal to actually help kickstart that Agni, the digestive fire. A lot of times people may end up having something that is cold in the morning, or sometimes, not enough food to actually increase that Agni. So we definitely want to eat according to our digestive fire. An example of that, and I'm going to just elaborate a little on the three dosha types, so people understand the differences, how the digestion plays a role. So a person who has pitta meaning a person who has more of what I call the more of the fire element in them. And pitta actually governs our digestion in the body. So a person who has a pitta body type, this person has one of the best digestion. This person is going to be hungry like after every 1 or 2 hours. So really high metabolic rate. Now for this person who has pitta body type, now if you give him really small amounts of food, or if he doesn't eat on time, what I say a lot of times he develops a feeling, what I say is hangry. So angry and hungry at the same time. For a person who is kapha body type, this kapha body types are more of, I would say, slightly on the overweight side. Their metabolism is slightly on the lower side. So people with kapha body type, if they eat more of heavy foods, more sweet foods and things, they tend to have a more sluggish metabolic rate. They tend to have a more sluggish digestion. A person who is Vata body type, this person's digestive, when you think about the Agni or the digestion, sometimes this person is hungry, sometimes this person is not, because this person is governed or predominantly has more of the Vata, which is, I would say, the wind element more. So just as the wind element is never static, right? Similarly for these people, sometimes they're hungry at, let's say in the morning, they will have breakfast sometimes at 8, the next day they'll have it at 10, the third day they'll totally skip. Now for a person who's Vata body type, if they tend to eat more of the raw foods, they may end up having more of the bloating and gut issues. So we definitely, for people with Vata body type, we want to have more warm and grounding foods. For a person who is more of a Kapha body type, they want to have more easy to digest food, something that's warmer. For a Pitta body type, now for a person who has Pitta, they have one of the best digestions. So that means they can literally eat a lot of the different foods that a lot of the Vata and the Kapha body types may not be able to tolerate. So again, it all depends on the person's body type. So we definitely want to gear those foods, that lifestyle according to the person's body type.
So this might be going back to basics because Ayurvedic medicine is not that commonly practiced, or many people don't really know about it. For those in the audience, how does one go about understanding, what type of dosha that they are? Is it like a questionnaire? Is it, like how do you, or do you, you're able to figure out just based off of their physical constitution, or how do you figure out someone's dosha?
So, for a person trying to figure out what the dosha type is, the questionnaire is a start always, but doesn't give you the full idea. My suggestion always is to go to an Ayurvedic practitioner, because what they're looking at when they look at the person's dosha type and prakriti is to look at the overall features, but also their digestion, their appetite, how they've been sleeping, a history. So that gives a better picture about what this person's body type or the dosha type is actually going to look like.
Yeah, and I think just like anything else, it's important to go to a professional that does this. And we can read everything online and the internet now these days, but it's important to really, really get to the source. I'm very curious, and this is again from your inspiration from your mother asking you to put turmeric. It seems like you've actually taken that inspiration to base your master's thesis research on, which I have read off of your site, the dietary curcumin and its effect on melanoma. Can you share with us a little bit about that research that you did?
Sure. So, for my master's thesis, this was an animal study we did, and for the animal study, we had a certain type of mice that were fed the turmeric diet. Like we had two sets of mice, one which was fed a turmeric diet and one which was not. And we were trying to look at the effect of melanoma in both these mice. And what we found after the 30 days, when we ran some tests and things, is that the mice that were fed a turmeric, essentially, which was, curcumin, we found that, the mice that were fed curcumin actually had a lower levels of some of the melanoma, we were looking at some of those markers. So they had lower levels of those melanoma markers.
Wow, yeah, that's very powerful research to be able to say, a food source has the ability to, slow down, it sounds like, or delay the process of cancer. So it's a very because I know that turmeric studies have been studied before, and so that's a very, very good insight. In terms of nutrition, it's a very broad type of science, and it's a very type of science that is always changing. There's always something new. But for the modern day person, for the person that goes about their day to day, and comes to you and says, I don't know where to start. I know that I want to improve my health. I know that I want to lose some weight and get better, and live long enough, for my family, or just in general. In terms of what are some common misconceptions that you find from people, from different patients and clients that come to you about, nutrition and how to eat well, and overall daily living from your perspective? And how have you addressed it using your Ayurvedic perspectives?
Sure. So a lot of times, when clients come in, one of the biggest misconceptions they have, especially with Ayurveda, is that the Ayurvedic diet or the Ayurvedic nutrition part is going to be something that's going to be very restrictive. It's going to be very overwhelming. It involves a lot of planning ahead of time. And a lot of times they think that, this is something that may not work with their lifestyle, may not work with their schedule. And a lot of times when I show the clients how easy it is to just start with just a couple of concepts to start with, it can be as simple as, changing their breakfast in the morning, having a warm breakfast, changing their meal times, changing their, including more spices into their diet, eating more seasonally. So just starting with a few concepts, we can even get some of those results that we see. And once the clients see that it's not that they have to do like 10 changes at one time, we just start with one or two changes at a time, see the results, and look at what's the next thing that we need to work on. So it is a process. I'd let my clients know it's a process. It's not something that's we are going to achieve in one sitting or in a matter of 1 month. But think of it, it's that it is a change in lifestyle. That means this is some of the habits we want to think about for a lifetime. So again, simple changes in their meals, their diet, and adding simple lifestyle changes like a daily massage, which is called the Ayurvedic Abhyanga. Actually, we find that, a lot of the results we just get by adding just a couple of things at a time.
Yeah, that's it's very, when I was thinking about when you said starting off with a warm meal, it makes me think of how my mother raised me. And she always says that, always have water or some liquid at room temperature. And she always tell us that there's no purpose of having anything iced, because that's not how the body operates. And that's stuck with me till this day in terms of, what the body is doing and how do we keep it continuously in that balance or homeostasis. So, when you said that, with having a warm meal, that triggers that memory for me. What is it about, because you're also a massage therapist as well, what is it about massage that augments or supplements, your wellness counseling?
Absolutely. So, with my Ayurvedic training, I was trained in Panchakarma and also the different Ayurvedic therapies and things. And coming to United States, one of the things, in order to provide body work and massage, I went back to school, got my massage therapy, got trained in massage therapy also, and got my massage therapy license. So with massage therapy, with the Ayurvedic therapy that we practice, actually, what we find is, just a simple example is about Abhyanga, which is called your daily massage. And we use warm oils, and we use these oils according to a person's body type. Now, what we find that, when you do a simple Abhyanga, it actually helps to reduce stress levels. An important factor of that we have found, especially for our people with diabetes, being a certified diabetes educator as well. When we have people check their blood sugars before and after the massage, the Abhyanga, we find that, find the blood sugars are lower, sometimes it's 30 to 40 points difference. And that is to show that, stress becomes an important trigger when it comes to a lot of the chronic disease states. So with Ayurveda, we look at, the whole person aspect, and we include some of the Ayurvedic therapies along with the nutrition to look at the whole person aspect.
Hey guys, we're going to be taking a short break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Thrive Bites. Let's get back to the interview.
Yeah, I think I think massage is very important because I'm a DO, a doctor of osteopathic medicine, and what makes us different than our MD counterparts is that we have extra training in manual manipulation, and it's similar to massage therapy and chiropractic care. However, we are similar to Ayurvedic, where we do look at everything in its whole person approach and perspective. And so using our hands to diagnose and treat is just as important. So I definitely resonate with what you're saying. It is interesting when you talked about their types in terms of which oils. So are you referring to the doshas and then using a specific type of oil based off of their dosha?
Sure, absolutely. So, to give you an example, a person with the Pitta body type, since they are going to have more of the fire element in them, you need something which is with the opposite quality. That means something like a cooling oil. So, a lot of times we'll use the coconut oil, which has more of the cooling properties. A person who is Vata, you need again something with the exactly opposite quality, which is something which is a warming oil. And the sesame seed oil is considered more warming and something that will ground a person with Vata. For a person who is Kapha body type, again, again, we need something which is more warming for this person, something that creates more, excitement and things for this person. So again, something which is warming. So we will use the sesame seed oil again for a person with a kapha body type as well.
I would love to kind of switch over to food, and you have talked about different types of Ayurvedic spices. What are those specifically? And I guess if someone is unable to find an Ayurvedic practitioner or doctor to go to really understand what type of dosha they are there certain types of Ayurvedic spices that they can keep on hand to be able to use, generally speaking, in their daily cooking?
Sure, absolutely. So what comes to my mind, there are definitely 4 spices that I definitely recommend everybody should have in their pantry. One, turmeric, which is also known as a golden spice. Second is the cumin, the cumin seeds. You also get ground cumin. Third is coriander. You get coriander seeds as well. And the fourth being ginger. So these are some of the 4 basic essential spices that you definitely want to have in your cooking to, again, maintain that gut health, reduce any bloating and things, and making sure that your gut health is up to its optimum.
Can you go into each spice in terms of are there certain properties that they do, for our health from your perspective?
Sure. So the cumin, coriander, the one more spice I do want to include is a fennel. They're called fennel seeds. So the cumin, coriander, and fennel, these are more of the cooling spices. So if a person, for example, had a really heavy meal, just making a tea of these 3 basic spices actually helps with relieving a lot of that bloating, that heaviness a lot. Turmeric, as we know, has a lot of the for its anti-inflammatory properties as well. I talked about as well as ginger. Ginger especially is very good for the gut health, helps a lot with any digestive issue. So again, if people are traveling and things, or they had a really heavy meal, or they for the couple of days they're not really feeling low, or feeling really nauseated and things, just adding ginger or having a ginger lemon tea a lot of times also will help a lot with the digestive issues.
Yeah, that's great. So I definitely would love to close out, and I love learning. We've learned so much about your Ayurvedic practice, and talking about from a gut health and nutritional perspective. Is there something, one of my favorite questions to ask is, how do you personally take care of yourself, or how do you personally thrive? And, the centerpiece is really about the person behind, the provider, the, caregiver, the practitioner. What are some ways that you practice self-care for yourself, to be able to keep your spirits up? Because I can tell that you're very strong in terms, and very resolute and very certain in terms of, not just, your practice, but, I can tell from your just overall well-being. So what have you done to kind of contribute towards that?
Sure, Colin. So, everything resonates with our self-care. And I believe that, self-care starts with us. So the way I thrive and for my self-care, definitely meditation is a huge part of it. So early morning, 5 to 10 minutes of meditation really helps me with that. And yoga is one thing I definitely practice. If I don't get a time for every single day, but at least I make a point for at least once a week to practice yoga. The second and the third important thing is, eating according to Ayurvedic principles. So again, making sure that I'm creating a balance in my meals, eating more warm foods, having all the different foods cooked with different spices to help with my gut health. Because I said earlier that I grew up with having a weaker gut. So to maintain that gut health, I want to make sure that I include some of the spices for myself. But the other thing that actually helps me to thrive personally is doing the Abhyanga for myself, the self-massage, every day. And that actually helps me to ground really well. So these are some of the simple practices I follow on a daily basis. It's called more of what I call my daily routine for myself.
And these routines that you have for yourself, you would also advocate for someone else that's looking to improve their health.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I feel that when I work with different clients, it's just not the food or just not the activity. It's your stress management. All these three things are part of a puzzle, and all these three things, having all these things in a balance is what's going to create more of the health and wellness for us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like meditation and yoga practices, that are also very, very, thousands of years old practice, if not more. And, Ayurvedic, from your perspective and the nutrition, that aspect of it is so important. The self-massage, the Abhyanga, how would you go about doing that? Or how would you go about, teaching someone to do that for themselves at home?
Sure. So, very simple, as I explained to a lot of people, is that how would you do a self abhyanga or self massage for yourself? Is that, think about the simplest one, the easiest oils to begin with is, either coconut oil, or if you're allergic to coconut, you can use olive oil as well. So, now sometimes people may have like sesame seed oil, they may not, but again, it's their choice, whichever oil they want to choose. And the easier way is that, think about it just as you're applying lotion to your body, you want to apply this oil to yourself and, wait for 5 to 10 minutes, let your body absorb that oil, and then you can take a warm shower.
So apply it right before you go to a shower.
Absolutely. And you want to wait at least 5 to 10 minutes, let our skin absorb it, and then you can take a shower.
Oh yeah, that's very, very interesting. Definitely, I'll probably try it later today. No, I mean, coconut, sesame, olive oil. Well, olive oil would be more of a milder type of smell, but sesame has a very strong
Correct.
smell. Coconut has a very strong smell.
Exactly.
So I'm glad that you gave those choices, because I'm sure not everything is going to resonate with everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and perspectives today. I definitely learned a lot myself, and I'm hoping the audience members did as well. If someone wanted to look you up or reach out to you, where can they find you?
So, one, they can reach us through our website, which is www.ironnutrition.com. They can like us on Facebook at Iron Nutrition. They can follow us on Instagram, or they can give us a call at 972-999-0203.
Okay, excellent. And you're accepting new clients, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, please, for those of you who are listening, would definitely want a consultation from a very unique and different perspective. Please give her a call. Gauri, thank you so much for hopping onto the show and sharing your story and taking your time out to be able to be on the show with us today.
Well, thank you so much, Colin. It was wonderful talking to you, and it was wonderful sharing about Ayurveda as well.
Thank you very much. Hey guys, thank you so much for being on the show. If you like this, please share and follow, and please let someone else know about this podcast. And if they have, something of interest, or if you feel like it can be of help to them, please share this. And thank you so much for listening on, and we will see you on the next one.
Hey guys, that was another episode of Thrive Bites. If you like that episode, please subscribe and follow for new episodes. And don't forget to rate us on Apple Podcasts.